Story number 1, Keypad code. I was deep in revisions on a logo suit when I heard my apartment door open. No knock. Just the soft click of the lock disengaging, and then the door swinging inward. My first instinct was annoyance. I looked up from my desk in the living room, and a man in a gray uniform was already inside, toolbox in one hand. He was maybe mid-40s, with the kind of face you forget immediately after seeing it. The uniform had no visible company name or logo that I could make out. "Hey," I said, more surprised than alarmed. "Can I help you?" "Maintenance," he said, not quite a question. "Hair about the leak." "Bathroom, right?" I'd reported a slow drip under the sink about a week ago. The landlord had said someone would come by, though she hadn't given me a specific date. This must be it. "Yeah, bathroom's down the hall," I said, gesturing vaguely. "On the left." As he walked past me, a smell hit me. Sharp and chemical, like industrial cleaner mixed with something else I couldn't place. It was strong enough that my eyes watered a little. He was carrying it on his clothes, or maybe his hands. I turned back to my screen, trying to refocus on the work. From the bathroom, I heard the sound of him setting down the toolbox, opening cabinets. Then nothing for a while. I was actually making progress on the revisions when he called out, "You work from home?" "Yeah," I said. "Freelance design. Every day. Or you go out sometimes?" The question was casual enough, but something about it made me hesitate. I didn't answer right away. "Mix of both," I finally said, keeping my eyes on the screen. "Why?" "Just wondering if someone's usually here during the day," he said. "For the water pressure affects the readings." That made sense, I guess. I nodded even though he couldn't see me. I heard him moving around in there for another 15 minutes or so. More cabinet opening. The sound of him testing the faucet. Then he called out again, "You live alone." I felt something shift in my chest. Not quite fear, but a tightening. The question was too direct, even if the answer seemed obvious to him. "My boyfriend's around," I said. "I don't have a boyfriend." I don't know why I said that. It just came out. "Okay," he said. A pause. "Just need to know for the report." He came out of the bathroom about 5 minutes later. I glanced at him as he walked toward the door. He hadn't written anything down. No clipboard, no notes. He wasn't carrying the toolbox anymore. It was still in the bathroom, I realized. Or maybe he'd left it there deliberately. "All set?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. "Should be fine." He left without giving me a card or any information about what he'd done or what I should do if the leak came back. The door closed behind him, and I sat there for a moment, staring at my screen without really seeing it. I texted my landlord around 4 o'clock. Just a casual check. Maintenance guy came by today for the leak. Everything good. She didn't respond until almost 6. "What maintenance guy?" "I haven't sent anyone." My stomach went cold. I read the message 3 times. Then I called her. "I didn't send anyone," she said again. She sounded confused, maybe a little concerned. "Did he seem okay? Did he do anything weird?" "Oh, no. I mean, he just looked at the pipes. He asked some questions about my schedule." "What kind of questions?" "Just if I work from home. If I live alone." There was a pause on the other end. "I'm coming over," she said. It was 9 o'clock when my door keypad beeped. I was in my bedroom by then, trying to distract myself with my phone. Trying not to think about the fact that a stranger had been in my apartment for 20 minutes, asking about my schedule and whether I lived alone. The beep was distinct. The sound of the keypad accepting a code. My heart started moving fast. The door opened. It was the same man. He was holding something small in his hand. I couldn't quite see what, and he was already moving toward the hallway before I could process what was happening. "Sorry," he said, not sounding sorry at all. "Forgot my voltage meter. Won't take a second." He wasn't carrying the toolbox. His eyes moved past me, down the hallway toward my bedroom door. I stood up, moving to block the hallway entrance. "I'll look for it," I said, my voice higher than I wanted it to be. "You can wait here." He took a step forward anyway. Not aggressive, just forward, like he was testing something. "My boyfriend's sleeping in there," I said loudly. Too loudly. The words sounded fake even to me. He stopped. He looked at me for 5 full seconds without blinking. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted. He was recalculating something. "Okay," he said finally. "I'll come back for it tomorrow." He left. The door closed behind him. I locked the deadbolt and pushed my dresser in front of the bedroom door. My hands were shaking. I called my landlord. She arrived in 28 minutes. She looked genuinely frightened, which made me feel worse, not better. She pulled out her phone and opened an app connected to the Keypad system. "I'm checking the entry log," she said quietly. I watched her face as she scrolled. Her expression got worse with each entry. "There's 17 failed attempts," she whispered, "over the past 3 weeks. All between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m., I felt something cold move down my spine. And then today," she continued, still looking at the screen, "2 successful entries. Both at the times he was here." She looked up at me. "He was guessing the code," she said, "for almost a month. Until he got it right. I didn't sleep that night. The police came and took a report, but there wasn't much they could do. No crime had technically been committed. He'd entered the apartment, but he hadn't stolen anything or damaged anything. He'd asked questions, but questions aren't illegal. The failed entry attempts were logged, but they proved nothing except that someone had been trying to access the apartment. My landlord changed the code. The police said they'd increase patrols in the area. They asked if I wanted to press charges, but for what? Being in my apartment when I'd mistakenly thought he was supposed to be there. I've been staying with a friend for the past week. My landlord is trying to find me a different apartment in a different building. I've been thinking about getting a gun or a security system or something. But mostly I've been thinking about the 5 seconds he stood there, looking at me, recalculating. About the fact that he knew my schedule. About the fact that he'd been trying to get inside my apartment for 23 days before he finally succeeded. I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't lied about the boyfriend. I don't know what he wanted. I don't know if he's still out there or if he's moved on to someone else. I just know that for 3 weeks, someone was trying to get into my home, and I had no idea it was happening. Story number 2, Carpool Agreement. I've been telling myself for 3 days that I should have looked at the gym bag sooner. That's what keeps me awake now. Not the photos themselves, but the fact that I didn't check the bag until I got home that evening. I just left it on the kitchen counter, still damp from the gym, and went through my normal routine like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just thrown myself out of a moving car at a red light. The carpooling started in September. My ex-wife got the second car as part of the settlement, and I wasn't about to spend $400 a month on Ubers. Derek from accounting mentioned he lived in the same direction, same suburb, same general area. He seemed normal, quiet maybe. The kind of guy who nods at you in the break room but doesn't force conversation. We split the gas. 40 minutes each way. It saved me money I needed. The first 2 rides were fine. He listened to NPR. We didn't talk much. I appreciated that. On the 3rd morning, somewhere around the Garden State Parkway, Derek asked about Riverside Elementary. He wanted to know if the after-school program ran until 6. I remember the exact feeling of that moment. A small thing, a nothing thing. But my stomach did something it shouldn't have done. I told myself he must have overheard me on the phone. I'd called the school's main line the week before, standing in the parking lot at lunch, asking about pickup times because Sarah's schedule was changing. It's possible. People overhear things in offices. Cubicles are thin. He could have been walking past my desk, but I didn't remember him being there. I answered anyway. I said the program ran until 6, and Sarah usually got picked up around 5:30. I kept it vague. I don't know why I felt the need to be vague. That's what I keep coming back to. Some part of me already knew something was wrong. Derek nodded. He leaned a little closer to me in the car, and I caught his breath. Stale coffee, something acidic underneath it. He said something about how nice it must be to have that flexibility, that kind of routine. He said it with a lot of intensity for a comment about after-school pickup. I didn't respond. I looked out the window. The next morning, I almost didn't get in the car. I told myself that was stupid. I was being paranoid. He'd overheard a phone call. It was nothing. People talk about their kids at work. It's normal. We drove past the office park exit. I noticed it immediately. Derek didn't slow down. He kept going on the highway, heading deeper into the industrial area, the part of Jersey that's all warehouses and chain, link fencing and roads that don't have names on the GPS. I asked him what he was doing. He said he wanted to show me something. He said it was related to a property claim, something he'd been working on, and he wanted my opinion since I handled claims too. His voice was still friendly. That's what made it worse. His voice was completely normal. I told him to take the next exit. He said just 5 more minutes. I told him to take the next exit right now. He slowed down. We came to a red light. It was the only car at the intersection, just us in the empty street, and the industrial buildings all around us. I didn't think. I just unlocked the door and got out. I stepped into traffic that wasn't there, but I was ready for it to be there. I was ready for anything. I just needed to not be in that car. Derek didn't follow me. He just sat there, hands on the wheel, watching me in the mirror. The light turned green. He drove away. I called a rideshare from the sidewalk. The driver was a woman named Priya who asked if I was okay, because apparently I looked like I'd seen something. I told her I was fine. I told her I'd had a disagreement with my carpool. She didn't push it. At the office, I went straight to HR and told them I needed to change my parking arrangement. I didn't explain why. The woman in HR, Janet, asked if there was a problem with Derek. I said no. I said I just preferred to drive alone now. She made a note. She probably thought I was being difficult. Divorced men can be difficult. I avoided Derek. It wasn't hard. He was in accounting. I was in claims. We didn't have to cross paths if I didn't want to. But I felt him in the building. I felt him knowing that I'd gotten out of his car. I felt him thinking about why I'd done that. 2 days later, he left my gym bag with reception. I didn't open it until I got home. I set it on the kitchen counter, still damp from the gym, and I went through my evening like a normal person. I made coffee. I checked my email. I sat down and finally unzipped the bag. My workout clothes were on top, damp, smelling like the gym. Underneath them, I found 4 color photographs. The first one was my house. The front, taken from the street. You could see the mailbox with my address on it. The second was the side of the house, showing the driveway. The third was the back, taken from the alley. And the fourth one, the one that made my hands stop working, was a close-up of my daughter's bedroom window. You could see the little glow in the dark stars on her ceiling. You could see them clearly. I sat in my kitchen for a long time holding those photographs. Derek had been to my house more than once. He'd walked around it. He'd stood in the alley and looked at my daughter's window. He'd printed these photos. He'd put them in my gym bag and left it with reception, knowing I would find them. I thought about every carpool conversation. Every time I'd mentioned something about my routine, about Sarah's schedule, about when I picked her up, about the route I took home. Every time I'd thought he was just making conversation. Every time I'd answered because it seemed normal to answer. I called the police. They came and took the photos. They said they would look into it. They asked me if Derek had threatened me. I said no. They asked if he'd touched me inappropriately. I said no. They said they would need to talk to him, but that without an explicit threat. There wasn't much they could do right now. They said I should maybe consider a restraining order. They said I should be careful about my daughter's routine. I haven't gone back to work. I've called in sick. My manager left a voicemail asking if everything was okay. I haven't responded. I'm sitting in my kitchen now, and I keep thinking about the alley behind my house. I keep thinking about Derek standing there, looking at my daughter's window. I keep thinking about how many times he might have done it. I keep thinking about how I invited him into my car every morning, and every morning I told him more about my life. The photos are in a drawer. I can't look at them, but I can't throw them away either. I keep the doors locked. I keep the curtains drawn. I watch the street from the windows, looking for his car, looking for him walking past. I haven't seen him, but that doesn't mean he's not there. Story number 3, charging station. I was on my 4th espresso when I realized I'd forgotten to charge my phone. The library was quiet around midnight. That specific kind of quiet you only get in academic buildings when most people have gone home. I was on the 3rd floor, in one of the study rooms with the glass walls, surrounded by printouts and my laptop glowing in the dark. My phone had maybe 5% left. The charging station near the vending machines had been upgraded a few weeks ago. They'd sent an email about it. Faster cables, new ports, all that. I was grateful. I plugged in, set the phone on the table next to my laptop, and went back to my thesis. Something about labor economics in the Rust Belt. It wasn't urgent. Nothing about grad school feels urgent at midnight. 20 minutes later, I smelled it. Burning plastic, sharp and chemical. I looked up and my phone was hot, not warm, hot. The kind of heat that made me pull my hand back when I reached for it. The case was melting at the edges where it met the metal. The plastic was actually warping, pulling away from the body in a way that shouldn't happen with a modern phone. I yanked the cable out. The port looked normal. I wrapped the phone in my jacket and set it aside, thinking maybe the cable was damaged. Maybe the port had gotten dirty somehow. These things happen. Cheap electronics. Bad luck. I told myself this while my stomach did something small and wrong. I switched to my laptop. I had maybe an hour of work left. The thesis wasn't going to finish itself, and I was tired enough that the anxiety about my phone was fading into background noise. Just another thing to deal with tomorrow. I pulled up my document and kept writing. That's when the webcam light came on. I didn't touch anything. I was looking at the screen typing, and the small green light just flickered to life above the monitor. I stopped typing. The light stayed on. My hands went cold in a way that felt stupid and automatic, like my body knew something before my brain caught up. Then the cursor moved. I watched it drift across the screen without my hand on the trackpad. It was slow, deliberate. It opened my file explorer, started clicking through folders, documents, downloads, pictures. My pictures. The cursor was searching for something, and I was watching it happen, and I couldn't stop it. I don't remember deciding to shut it down. I just remember pressing and holding the power button until the screen went black. My hands were shaking. I could feel my heart doing something irregular in my chest. I told myself it was a glitch, a software error. Windows does weird things sometimes, but I knew it wasn't. I held down the power button on my phone too, even though it was off, just to be sure. The screen went dark. The smell of burnt plastic was still there, trapped in the fabric of my jacket. The study room suddenly felt very small. The glass walls that had seemed nice and open an hour ago now felt like being in an aquarium. I could see the rest of the third floor through them. Empty desks, empty chairs. The reference section with its rows of books that nobody checked out anymore. And somewhere in that building, or maybe not in the building at all, someone had been watching me. I packed my things. I didn't run. I walked quickly, but I didn't run, because running felt like admitting something. I took the stairs down to the first floor, where the security office was. The guard on duty was someone I'd seen before, older guy named Tom. He looked up from his desk when I came in, and something in my face made him stand up. I told him what happened. I tried to keep my voice steady. I probably failed. He listened, and then he called the overnight IT technician. His name was Marcus. He showed up maybe 15 minutes later, still half asleep, carrying a laptop bag. Tom brought us back upstairs to the study room. Marcus plugged my laptop in. He didn't use the library network. He brought a hotspot from his phone. His fingers moved fast across the keyboard, opening windows I didn't recognize, running programs with names I couldn't read. He was quiet. That was worse than if he'd said something. After maybe 5 minutes, he looked at me. "Your phone and your laptop both have the same spyware," he said. "It's sophisticated. It activates when you connect to the library network. It's designed to sync across any device you use, so once you plug in one thing, it jumps to everything else." I didn't say anything. "The charging port was modified," he said. "Whoever did this knew what they were doing. This isn't random. Someone installed this specifically to compromise devices." He opened a folder, a hidden folder. Inside were photographs. Me at this desk. At this desk in different clothes. At this desk with different books spread out. At this desk late at night. 27 photos. All taken through the webcam. All of me alone studying, not knowing I was being watched. "This has been happening for 2 weeks," Marcus said, and his voice had changed. It wasn't sleepy anymore. "And you're not the only one. We found the same spyware on 4 other devices. All students. All used that charging station." I looked at the photos. I looked at my own face, caught in moments I didn't remember. Moments I thought were private. The library was still quiet outside the study room. The rest of the building was still empty. I thought about how many times I'd been here late at night. How many times I'd sat in this exact chair, thinking I was alone. Campus security called the police. They took my phone and laptop. They said they'd investigate. They said they'd check the charging station for fingerprints. Though I knew the person who did this had probably worn gloves. They said they'd review security footage, though I knew the cameras in the library probably didn't cover that corner of the 3rd floor. That was probably part of the plan. I left the library around 2 in the morning. I haven't been back. I work from home now, or at the coffee shop during the day when there are people around. But sometimes I think about that moment when the webcam light came on. That moment when I realized someone had been there, in the room with me, watching through the screen, waiting for me to plug something in. I think about the other 4 students. I wonder if they know yet. I wonder if they've figured out how long this has been happening, or if they're still counting. I wonder if the person who did this is still working at the library. I wonder if they're already planning the next charging station, the next modified port, the next set of students who won't know they're being watched until it's too late. The police never caught anyone. It's been 3 months.